Now, Prince Harry's US visa application has been handed to a judge for review after concerns were raised about the legitimacy of his paperwork.
The Duke of Sussex has been fighting to prevent the release of his application after a think tank launched a case against him after admitting to taking drugs in his memoir Spare. Lying about past drug use is a breach of US federal law and could impact Harry's immigration status. Joining us to discuss this is our favourite royal correspondent, Michael Cole. Welcome, as always, Michael. The point about this situation is Harry, technically, in terms of American law, is damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. Because if he is a drug taker, as he admitted in his book Spare, he's very keen on cannabis, cocaine and magic mushrooms, and he didn't put that in his visa application, that is a very serious offence. If he did put it in there, the question is why was he allowed to stay? Because if it was any of us, if it was you, Alex, or me, or any other normal citizen, and we said, oh, yeah, we're really keen on cocaine and cannabis, we would not even be allowed to visit America, let alone live there. So there are difficult times ahead for the Duke of Sussex, I would suggest.
Good afternoon, Kevin. Good afternoon, Alex. I think you've summed it up brilliantly. I think he's in worse trouble than he probably realizes. Let me read you the questionnaire for the visa. And the key question is this: do you or have you ever used drugs, or are you a drug addict? Tick yes or no. Well, if he ticked no, he may be in serious trouble because, as you say, his memoir came out in January last year, Spare, written by a prize-winning American journalist, J.R. Moehringer. It's some doubt whether Prince Harry has ever read a book, whether even he's read his own alleged autobiography. But as you say, it's replete with mentions of him smoking weed, cannabis, taking cocaine, which is a Class A drug, it's a felony, and not much liking it, and magic mushrooms. Now, his lawyer has said to date that a book isn't evidence, and that is true. That is evidently true. It is not evidence, but it's very, very strong circumstantial evidence. And it will come down to this. This form has been released on the say-so of the president, President Biden. Now, if this federal judge takes a view of this country that Biden takes, he doesn't much like us, you know. He plays up his Irish credentials for that reason. If this judge, federal judge, it has strong Republican views, and every judge is a human being with his own personal views, and he doesn't like British princes and he doesn't like Britain much, he may take a very dim view of what Prince Harry has done. Of course, we don't know how truthfully or otherwise he answered that form. There have been exceptions where people have had a checkered past and there have been special arrangements made for them to come in. But as you said and indicated, the Americans take citizenship and they take immigration and they take residency extremely seriously. I mean, perhaps they ought to be in charge over here, but they do. And if Prince Harry has a finding against him, if he's found to falsified and lied on his application form, he's got a real problem because he can't go back to Canada, where last he was, because the Canadians got fed up with paying for his security pretty promptly. And then there's a question of him coming back here and how he would come back here, and whether his wife, his lovely wife, Meghan, would come back here. And what about the children? Princess Lilibet, she was born in America, technically, and I'm sure legally she's an American citizen. Archie, born over here. Meghan never gave up her American citizenship. Would she be willing to accompany her husband? Were he be forced to leave? Because it is as serious as that. This Heritage Foundation, right-wing pressure group, really wants to know. It says, you know, they're very proud. You know, they stand before the flag every day. They swear allegiance to the Republic and the Constitution of America. And they don't think that people should be allowed to mess about with it, whether they're a prince of the royal blood or not.
Do you know what I think is somewhat remarkable? This idea that a book is not evidence, even if it's an autobiography narrated by yourself. And actually, you know, if Prince Harry did want to come back to the UK and found it difficult to bring his family, he could always fly to France and get in a dinghy. That's what I reckon. Michael, thank you ever so much. Always great having your insights. We're still, of course, joined by former government advisor James Price. I mean, you know, some people might say, well, this is just being, you know, deliberately, it's not like a culture war in itself, you know, deliberately provocative against Prince Harry because it drums up headlines. But the Americans do have a right to know. There can't be a two-tier system. Yeah,
absolutely right. I mean, I'm really a big heifer. My other half is American, and I know exactly how strict that their visa regime can be, even for visiting her family this summer. It's very complicated. Again, you made the joke about Harry being able to come over in a dinghy. If he'd have gone through the southern border in America, where millions of people have illegally crossed over into America since Biden's taken office, maybe he'd have been given a house in California or something like that, and it would have been easier for him. But this goes to the heart of the borders are a sort of sacred thing in some ways, right? When you step over, even when you drive into a different county, right? When you drive into Gloucestershire from Wiltshire, I breathe an extra special sigh of Gloucestershire air or something like that. So, you know, even those sorts of things, this stuff really does matter. Laws change, all these kinds of things. And if Harry hadn't have been quite so ungrateful about everything, then maybe this wouldn't have happened to him. We could have had a perfect special relationship, build up the transatlantic alliance, so to combat all these things we've been talking about, Iran and China and Russia, all these other things. And instead, through their own, self-centeredness, let's just call it, and narcissism, they've made it so much worse, and they've got everything coming.
But also they say a book is not evidence. It kind of is, because you're going to stick him in the dock and say, so in Spare, you say you take cocaine, cannabis and magic mushrooms. Did you or did you not? And if he says, no, I didn't, it's like, well, damn you. You wrote a book and you lied in it.
So read it. Act like
any way you look at this, Harry comes out of this situation terrible.